We've had so many recent years of mostly hearing about masculinity as toxic, and we don't do a good job in society talking about what is wonderful about masculinity. Healthy male energy repairs a lot of what I missed out on as a child. That longing for a healthy father is like an echo. It's the part of us that knows what was needed and was never fulfilled. The father archetype is meant to offer a steady root system for his family, for the children that he bears. The father archetype, in its healthiness, is someone who helps us feel we're safe to grow upward and outward because we know something solid holds us at the base. He shows us where we end and others begin. Can you hear the boundaries in that? When done well, this is not rigid or harsh. It's a strong protective arm around your shoulder saying, I've got you. Hello, welcome to the show. This is Emotional Badass, where Moxie meets mindful. I'm your host, Nikki Eisenhower, life coach and psychotherapist. And on today's episode, we are discussing the term daddy issues and father figures. Thank you to everyone who spoke to me personally or wrote in to offer me and my husband condolences for losing my father-in-law. Thank you so much. It's so kind and it's so indicative of this community that we've built of care and concern for one another. We are the deep feeling people out there, and that doesn't just come through when I'm sending out depth. That comes through when this audience shows up with some depth for me and for Chris. So thank y'all so much. I wanted to touch on what we mean when we say daddy issues, right? This is a term all of us know if we grew up in the West. In losing my father-in-law recently, it's really hit me that I've had 6 father figures. And that's not me counting uncles or teachers or professors or counselors or supervisors or friends that have fit a lot of male roles for me in my life. I've had 6 actual father figures. I had my biological father, who was a daily presence in my life from birth till 6, almost 7 years old. And that's when he began his deadbeat journey until he fully abandoned me by the time I was 10. And he would then go further and sign away his rights to me and my siblings when I was 14. My step-turned adoptive dad, he was another father figure in my life. He came in my life when I was 9 years old. I would grow up and press charges against him. He ultimately served 14 of 20 years for crimes against me and 3 other children. He was very active in my life. He was the parent in my life that was the most genuinely interested in me and my interests and what I was thinking about and what I was reading. He was a very active parent until I pressed charges when I was 24 years old. My grandfather, I would say, was the most fatherly man in my life. I lived with him from 6 to 12 years old. He was the most impactful father figure. He gave me a connection to nature, to wonder, to art. He was an artist. And I trusted his love for me like I didn't the other 2 men who were my dads. Now, I've been married 3 times, so that means 3 fathers-in-law. My first father-in-law was a mob boss type is the best way to describe that family. It was a big family. And as long as I was in the family, I was loved and included and protected. In leaving their son, it was communicated that I was dead to them because the family rules were, we don't get divorced in this family. I learned a lot about family from him. I learned a lot about entrepreneurship. I also learned a lot about shame and conditional love. My second father-in-law was very, very different. He was an old Texas rancher turned oil field guy. He was gruff, hardworking, consistent. I tried to be close with him and he with me. We really liked each other. And I slowly had to understand that his wife and daughter felt threatened by my relationship with him because he would open up and talk to me in ways that he never had with them. And instead of letting him have that with me, letting me have a relationship with him, they put the kibosh on us having a real relationship. Now I'm married to Chris. I like to say my final husband. And I met Chris's dad about 9 years ago. And he welcomed me with big open arms and made a point to tell me he loved me anytime I saw him or spoke to him, and would go so far as to make sure I knew that he thought I was the best thing in the world to ever happen to his son. I felt his love for me, and I'm sad I didn't have more time to soak that up for me, but also so that he could soak me up. He never had a daughter, and he didn't have another daughter-in-law. I benefited a lot from that arms wide open love and place in his family that he was happy to make for me. I felt welcomed, and I felt like I had a place. That's a big deal when I have felt so displaced in family systems. I even wondered when I first met Chris's family if I would be able and willing to bond to another family after so much loss. And I'm happy to say I have. And it wouldn't have been right for me to shut down and not risk with another family again. And as imperfect and messy as my in-law family can be, I can be my honest self there. And I appreciate that so, so much. Please take a minute to find Emotional Badass wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure to hit that subscribe and follow button to get more videos like this in your feed. It really helps our podcast to grow. Thank you so much. So fathers are one of our strongest archetypes. Now, I was raised in peak feminism. I'm in my 40s, and being raised in what I would call a peak feminist time taught me very directly that I did not need a man for anything, that all I had to do was educate myself, and I didn't need a man, that I could do whatever a man could do just as long as I set my mind to it. Now, I don't think this was an honest or a fair teaching. Not honest or fair to me as a woman, and not honest or fair to good men that are out there. Every single one of us on the planet, y'all. We are made of a man and we are made of a woman. We have masculine qualities. We have feminine qualities. There is a yin and a yang to who we are. I needed healthy men just like I needed healthy women growing up. I find that I need and want healthy male energy. And the men that I love, from my two closest male friends, who are both much older than me, to some of Chris's lifelong friends who I've come to love like brothers. Even the male energy from my dog Gusto, who becomes more protective of me if and when Chris is not with me. Healthy male energy repairs a lot of what I missed out on as a child. It gives me something that I'm going to try really hard to put into words today, to break down this archetype of the father. We've had so many recent years of mostly hearing about masculinity as toxic, and we don't do a good job in society about talking about what is wonderful about masculinity. What do we need from it? How do we grow boys to be strong and good and have integrity with what is masculine about them? I also know that when I say I need masculine energy, that's not in some kind of damsel in distress, needy, pathetic way. It's from my strength, and it's from my healing at this point in my life more than from my wounding. I know that I need this male energy in a supplemental way, like I know I need vitamin B to help with my mood as a woman. I know I need vitamin D to help my immune system function optimally. Masculine energy supplements me and my feminine energy. Now, is this because of daddy issues, which I could, rightly so, anyone could argue I could be the poster child of? So do I need this? Do I want this masculine energy in my life because of daddy issues? abandonment, loss, trauma? Or is this from my healing? Is this a natural and healthy desire? So let's dive in. What is the energy? What do we get from the archetype of healthy father? So what are we even talking about when we say this vague term healthy when it comes to father? Here's another way to ask this question. What is the yang to the yin of my feminine energy? When we speak of what we're supposed to get, and I watch the word supposed to in psychology and in speaking about healing and growth, but I think this makes sense to all of us as human beings. There is a very solid supposed to that happens here in the human condition, right? We are all supposed to be wanted and born to a stable, younger male and female together. Right? That is nature's design. That is what is natural in the human condition. Families are certainly made other ways, and there's nothing wrong with that, and I'm not talking against that at all when I speak to these norms. Most of us, I don't think, get even close to an ideal fathering. So we tread on compassion with this topic for ourselves and for each other. Not all of us received what we were meant to, and no one gets a perfect parent or a perfect development. Y'all, we wouldn't even want that if that was available, I promise you, because our characters wouldn't build very well if we had perfection. I know, and it's true of everyone listening, I got what I got in the fathering department, and I can't go back in time and change it. This is a fact. And yet all the knowing in the world, all the acceptance work in the world doesn't quiet what my soul knows, what it longs for. That longing for a healthy father is like an echo. It's the part of us that knows what was needed and was never fulfilled. Healing and growth, self-development, we're developing. This is about recognizing what we got and what we didn't get so that we can learn to give to ourselves to the best of our ability what was missed so we can fill in what was missing towards feeling and being whole. Here's what the archetypal father figure provides in the deepest sense. And if you're a counseling or a therapy student out there listening, know that I am creating this list from a background as a strong gestaltist and a logotherapist, interweaving spiritual concepts. So if you have a father wound or daddy issues, like we say in common vernacular, I hope this list that I've created helps you awaken to your depth of experience and connect some very important dots that ultimately help you get what you need to feel and be successful in your one precious life. Everything that success means to you, not to anybody else. And know that my spiritual belief is that we are born from one mother and one father, and yet this universe seems to spiritually provide endless opportunities for us to have as many spiritual mothers and fathers as we choose. So what do we get from the father archetype? What do we want? What are we looking for? What do we crave and need as developing human beings? Well, grounding and stability are primary. The father archetype is meant to offer a steady root system for his family, for the children that he bears. Someone who helps us feel we're safe to grow. The father archetype, in its healthiness, is someone who helps us feel we're safe to grow upward and outward because we know something solid holds us at the base. So a healthy father is sort of like the kite string to our kite, if you will. And I wouldn't want to launch a beautiful kite that I love if it didn't have a string. I can look back on my life and very much understand not having this solid base of a father that I could count on, having it change, having the fatherly rug ripped out from under me in different ways. It was like I was a kite floating around on the wind, with no string, desperately trying to stay tethered to the earth. But I just didn't know how. I didn't have that root system. I didn't have anybody being that string for the kite that I was as a child. The archetype of healthy father, he teaches sometimes with words, but often just by presence. So our worlds may wobble. Growing up, we have doubts. We don't know what we're doing. We wobble a lot. Fatherly energy, the intention of it is to hold us when we wobble so that we don't fall over. Or if we do fall over, to extend a hand to help us back up and to encourage us that we can get up despite how we feel. I didn't get a whole lot of grounding and stability. Did you? If you didn't, and you're resonating with this, how can you stabilize now internally, externally, both? How can you become that kite string? How can you become more rooted, like a very strong and viable tree? Do you have examples in your life of grounded and stable masculinity? If you don't, and if you're playing I Spy by looking at what's toxic or bad in the male condition in our society, is that helping you or is that hurting you? If you don't have strong, safe men in your world, how can you learn from the presence of masculine energy? These are questions that you may or may not have answers to right now, and that's okay. Sometimes the most important thing is to just ask and be open. Answers will come. So here's another very important set of dynamics that a healthy father offers his offspring: protection and boundaries. Now, y'all know I have been talking about the boundaries intensive that's coming in October. No wonder I teach boundaries. No wonder I have had to learn what boundaries are, how to have them, how to find permission towards them, how to construct them, how to execute them, how to have a backbone around the boundaries I need. I didn't get this from a grounded and safe-rooted father. A father sets a perimeter, not to imprison us, but to guard. A healthy father is a guardian in everything that means. He shows us where we end and others begin. Can you hear the boundaries in that? When done well, this is not rigid or harsh. It's a strong protective arm around your shoulder saying, I've got you. We're supposed to learn from a father how to protect ourselves, how to discern danger, and how to stand tall in the face of conflict or struggle or fear or doubt. Now, I was overly controlled as a teenager. In this population that shows up to listen to me and wants to work with me, you'll see two extremes. We're either overly controlled or left to roam like wild animals, because these are the extremes, with healthiness somewhere in the middle. And a healthy fatherly energy knows how to be this protective guide in this middle ground of not saying, go do whatever you want. I'm not going to give you any supervision. And I'm not going to overly supervise you so much that you don't have the freedom to make choices and learn and grow. I was overly controlled. And I was told again and again this was to protect me, that this was out of love. And it didn't feel protective and it didn't feel loving. What a twisty flip-flop to be getting abused inside of your home, but told I had to watch out for other boys and men. This kind of control was meant to keep me and my world small. It was meant to keep me from tasting the kind of freedom and empowerment and security that would fuel a rightful rebellion. This was intended to keep me from forming an alliance with a boyfriend who, rightly so, would have wanted to protect me from my parents and help me. And this started happening as I got beyond 12 and 13 and 14. It started happening with boys and girlfriends and some parents of friends as I aged. The more I would let people in, the more people could smell something is off here in Nikki's family dynamic. Control is not protection, but controlling people love to claim that their control is out of love and protection. We have to figure it out to be able to take care of ourselves, y'all. I've had to teach myself the difference between care and control, and not push away what is genuine masculine care in fear of care being or becoming control, because that's what my trauma taught me. The work of this is entrusting me to choose who's around me, trusting me to weed out the controllers from my life, or to fully be able to reject attempts at control. See, as a child, I really could be controlled. As this wild, grown-ass woman I am today, I can't be controlled. I won't allow it. I control me. I am my authority figure. But I also allow the care of my very healthy husband who is not controlling. So when he has said to me things like, I'm really not trying to control you, but I am really terrified of you hiking on your own because you have such a poor sense of direction, which is not untrue. I had to really sit with myself, my young parts going, no, you can hike if you want to. Don't let this man control you. And this wise woman part of me saying, this isn't control. This is actual care and concern. And if this loving, concerned man is terrified of this, I don't have to go out hiking on my own. And we hike together. And I haven't done it yet, but I've also been learning how to work a satellite device. So if I do want to go out on my own, he has that added comfort of knowing I have that device to call if I fell down a ravine, if I got injured, if I twisted or broke my leg, something like that. So doing this work to discern between care and control, because I didn't have that clearly taught to me as a child, it was twisted, it was warped. Doing this work has helped me accept love and care. And do you see how wrong it would be for me to leave my younger circumstance and just decide I won't let any men in to care about me because I'm too scared it will turn controlling? That's giving the controlling people in my life the power to keep affecting my present day life and my decision making today. That's not okay. That's not right. And that's not healing. I don't want to take the fact that I was over controlled and think that I'm healing by then overly controlling that no man is allowed to tell me anything about anything. Do you hear the immaturity in that? That's a stuckness from an adolescent part. So doing this work has helped me accept real healing, love, and care. Those of you who lean avoidant, were you overly controlled? What if there are strategies that better serve you being loved than avoidance? How do you get the love and support you deserve and need if fears of control stay at the forefront and make you keep people and intimacy and negotiation at arm's length because you just shut down and avoid? Now, I can ask the same question of those of you who may lean anxiously attached. If you were overly controlled, think about a prisoner who has to live with a warden. You have to ask that warden, can I go to the bathroom? Can I eat now? Can I leave my cell? Can I make a call? Can I do this? Over control might make you squirrely and sheepish, where you look at the man in your life and go, can I do this? Can I do that? Asking for permission, asking for approval. Wanting people to tell you constantly, yes, you're okay. Yes, you can do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you're not going to get in trouble. Go ahead. You're not going to get in trouble. Go ahead. So if this is where you're coming from, are there better strategies that will serve you loving yourself and helping that younger part that was overly controlled grow up and stand in his or her own ability to make decisions? And to weather if you make a mistake? Same thing. If we don't want fears of control to control our decision-making now? Well, are we going to let fears of being told you didn't do it right, or why didn't you ask me? If you step up for yourself under your own control and somebody else doesn't like it, are you willing to support yourself? That you're allowed to operate your life of your own control? As an adult, most of my life, I carried everyone else's emotions like they were my own. I said yes when I wanted to say no. I felt drained, anxious, and resentful. And I thought something was wrong with me. What I didn't know back then is what I really needed was boundaries. That's why I created the Boundaries Intensive. It's my 6-week live online course where I teach highly sensitive people, empaths, and trauma survivors how to protect their energy, reduce anxiety, and set boundaries that actually work and stick. You'll join me for 14 live lessons, get a full workbook, and I'll also give you access to a bonus course on soul care strategies. This October, you can finally learn how to say no without guilt, yes with confidence, and step into real power and peace. Go to emotionalbadass.com/boundaries or check the description for the link. I'd love to see you there, and I can't wait to meet you. All right, here's another strong thing that we get from healthy fathers: identity and strength. So how a healthy father teaches identity and strength is, like we said earlier, a lot through just their presence. Their presence. And from that place of presence, because a father is there, he can mirror back by standing in front of us. If I have a healthy father standing in front of me and he smiles at me, he's mirroring back my power to me. This is not done with ego, but this is done with a reverence, a respect for the child that he's rearing, that he knows from his own emotional intelligence and maturity will one day fly from beneath his wing, out of his and his wife's or the woman's nest, to live your own life. And so the father wants you to connect with your own power. That is not a threat to him. The father figure helps you see yourself not only as capable, but as valuable to him. It's why we have mirror neurons. When a father stands in front of us and smiles, giving his approval of how you're growing, he's investing in us with his time, with his heart, with his energy. And just like me putting money into an investment account, it grows. That money grows and our self-worth grows when our fathers invest in us so. So if you had fathers like me who didn't quite know how to invest or would invest a little bit and then pull out all of their investment and leave for various reasons, then we're working to heal our value, our worth within ourselves. A healthy father shows us our potential, not by demanding a performance out of us, but by recognizing the essence of who we are and calling it forth. A healthy father might look at us after a struggle and say, hey, that's you. I'm a girl, right? So a healthy father might say to me, hey, that's my girl. I saw you stand back up. You woke up today, you got ready for school, and yesterday was a really hard day. That's my girl. That's you. Don't forget who you are. This is how we learn who we are. This is how we learn that we can deal with what's hard in life, that we have some grit. Our identity and strength, we learn it when healthy masculinity reflects it back to us. Now, as I speak today, I'm speaking about masculinity. Please don't do the thing that is so popular today by thinking because I'm talking about masculinity that I'm implying anything about femininity. I might get to an episode on that in the future if I want. On my grandfather's deathbed, he died when I was 17, and the doctors couldn't understand how he was conscious and speaking because they said the level of his heart enzymes, I don't remember the numbers, but all the nurses and doctors could not understand how he was conscious because his heart enzymes were off the chart. Now, my heart says he wouldn't die before saying goodbye to his second set of kids, which was me and my siblings who had lived with him. From his hospital bed, I could feel him desperate. Not desperate because he was dying. From his hospital bed, I could feel him desperate, and not desperate because he was dying. He was at peace with that. But he was desperate for me to believe in my strength at 17 years old. And I don't know if I could say this without crying. He wanted me to know how strong I was. And he made me promise to stay strong. Made me promise him. Made me look at him in the face and look at his eyes. And promise him that I would be okay no matter what after he was gone. That promise is a part of my heart and how it beats now. And he gave that to me. At 17, I thought he was getting me to promise to him because that's what he needed on his deathbed to go to the other side. Now I understand that he was getting me to believe in and commit to myself and my life no matter what. He was scared for me not having him. He wasn't scared for himself. He was ready. He told me, I'm ready to go see his wife, my grandmother. She had been gone for 2 years. He said he didn't know what to do with himself without her here. A healthy father helps us grow into and own the strength that we need for the ups, the downs, and the all-arounds of this life, y'all. I am so grateful that he spent his last moments giving me strength. Here's another thing that the archetype of healthy father gives to us. Direction and meaning, y'all. A healthy father doesn't give us all the answers. He asks, what do you think? What do you want? He offers structure, principles, but also encourages you to question. A healthy father will teach a woman, hey, what does that guy want from you? Does he just want to get in your pants? Or does he want to take care of you? Question that towards taking care of yourself. A healthy father is strong and secure enough that he doesn't need you to parrot and think like him. He helps you grow into the very critical thinking that makes you, you, and no one else. A father figure helps you develop your compass, moral compass, emotional, spiritual compass. He's there when you doubt, not to push, but to support and to reflect back the truth of who you are. It's no wonder that in common conversation, we relate daddy issues to being synonymous with being lost and directionless. In grief work, we say we make meaning. Healing and growth are about steadying. They're about making meaning and finding, and yes, sometimes forcing direction. If you missed out on this directional upbringing from masculine energy, are you willing now to sit with yourself and ask yourself, what do you think about your situation, about your options, about your life? What direction seems best right now to you? Will you be willing to not let up on yourself until you get the answers? No matter how imperfect and messy, no matter how much time those answers take, will you require these answers out of yourself to find and forge a direction? You know, living in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, I often look at the roads in the mountains and how decisions had to be made because sometimes it feels really screwy, right? These little windy mountain roads. And why did this road decide to go this way and cut through this mountain and then this way and maybe cut through this mountain and this one goes all the way around and doesn't cut through? Somebody had to just decide a direction and figure it out and start to pave those roads way back in the day, right? I know it's been true for me at times that I have felt like a compass that's just spinning out of control, not knowing which way to go. I had no idea as a younger woman that this had anything to do with the fatherdom I had missed out on or was so fragmented for me. All right, here's another. Healthy fathers offer presence and accountability. So when done well, the parenting of a father means that he's there and his child knows that. And that doesn't mean he's physically there. He might be working. He might travel for work. He might not be able to make it to a kid's game. But those are moments, those are logistical missings. We're not talking about being physically there all the time. We're talking about being emotionally present. There's a sense of a presence, of having that present father in your life that brings his presence to you, that shares his presence with you so much that his presence becomes a part of who you are. So that when he isn't physically there, he is still with you. I have my grandparents' presence with me even now, decades after they've passed. The presence that oversees, even when his eyeballs are elsewhere. This is the essence of a father. A father figure allows himself to be looked up to without pretending to be a god. Those of you with narcissistic fathers, this is very important. I'm going to say it again. A father figure allows himself to be looked up to without pretending to be a god, which means he doesn't require worship. This is why narcissistic fathers leave people with a lot of issues, y'all. A narky dad may set you up financially, may put you through college. Their currency is money and buying gifts. They might buy you a car. But they also tend to control with that money, to keep you like a 16-year-old child all of your life with that money, if they have money, and they may over-control. Some are narky and godlike with no money or resources to help you out. They just drain you emotionally and mentally. A narcissistic father does not teach presence and accountability because they aren't present and they aren't accountable. They believe they are godlike, which means accountable to nothing and no one, nobody, no how, no way. And if I really asked them and made them take some kind of truth serum magic, they would say to me, I'm godlike, which means I'm everywhere. I'm omnipresent. So I don't need to be actually present. My child should know that I am everywhere. I am everything. I am the all being. I don't need to do anything else than be me. A healthy father, he models fallibility. He models making mistakes. And he teaches by example how to own those mistakes, how to right them. If he flips the ship over, he rights that ship. And he models that for his family. He shows you that strength and vulnerability are not opposites, they are companions. So if we don't get presence and accountability, what happens? We tend to be very easily defensive because we didn't have accountability modeled. It's like a nutrient we very much needed, but haven't soaked up. We haven't been exposed to it enough. So check in with yourself here. Has anyone ever told you that you get defensive quickly and that is very difficult to live with, to negotiate with, to discuss nearly anything with? If you hear things as you've done something wrong and now you must defend, listening cannot happen when we're defending. Makes it very hard to have productive conversation with someone to defend. And a lot of you out there are smart enough to learn how to not use defensive words, but everything in tone, delivery, stance, body language, everything that is subtly communicated is full on defense. If your father didn't show you how to be wrong sometimes, defensiveness is often the result. And it's horrible. We call it one of the 4 horsemen. It is destructive for relationships. There's no two ways about it. And a lot of you do not know the difference between explaining and defensiveness. So if anyone has ever told you you're defensive while you are sitting in the place of, I'm not being defensive, I'm just explaining myself, you might be defensive and not really know it. I had no concept that explaining myself was a form of defensiveness, because the best I had seen out of multiple different parents was a calmer explanation, but all of it was 100% defensiveness and 0% ownership. Some of it was built to look like ownership, like I know I must be wrong sometimes, without owning. So does this defense serve you or alienate people? And then alienate you from people? Does this defense help you or hurt you? If you have demanded apologies from people without being able to have an actual conversation first, you're defensive. And then you might have righteousness. And if you were raised by anyone who didn't model true accountability, and you're asking me about healing and growth, I'm going to say this is stuff that must be addressed, or you're not going to be able to be as intimate and as close with safe people as you want and as you deserve. You are liable to push away the people who would be in your corner the most. So does this defense help you or hurt you? Does it lead you down a path of feeling righteous? If your father couldn't or wouldn't grow beyond this kind of accountability, will you? All right, here we go. Approval and affirmation. Now, at our most tender, we long for the good Father to see us and to give us messages that we are good. Highly sensitive people tend to define love as being seen and heard, getting messages of good enough instead of the narky, immature, never good enough that so many of us have endured from our parenting styles. This is the affirmation that you matter, that your life has weight. When this is absent, approval, affirmation, we seek it in all sorts of places that cannot give it. Some people seek approval from alcohol, that they can drink enough to muster a story in their mind of feeling the edge of that not good enough taken off by the alcohol. And then they seek out other people who drink too much so that they can validate each other that this is fine to hang out at the neighborhood bar and put half our paycheck into the bar every week. This is fine. So we will get a dysfunctional kind of approval. A father's approval is not meant to be conditional. And I struggle with the idea of true unconditional love because we all need to have conditions to staying actionable in love. There are people that I do unconditionally love, but they are conditionally allowed in my life. I love people who are not allowed in my life. A father's approval is not meant to be conditional. It's meant to be foundational. When we have been raised in too much conditional love, if you please me, then I'll give you love. If you displease me, I'll take my love away. This is what teaches people pleasing to a young person growing up. This is why so many of us have struggled so hard to let go of codependency, to let go of people pleasing, even when we know better, because it is connected to the foundation of who we are. I teach a concept that longtime listeners will recognize. I am my own authority figure. You are your own authority figure. It's part of why I lean a little libertarian. I don't like overreach of government. I don't like overreach of any authority into my life. I am my own authority figure. Yes, I am part of society. Yes, I need to drive by the rules and be a good citizen and all of that. But when it comes to emotional approval, me making decisions based on my heart and gut and mind, I need to be able to approve of what I choose for me, even in the face of a lot of disapproval. I am my own authority figure. People pleasers are approval seekers on steroids. We have to put that down and let that go to step into our own personal power. We must understand this or it exhausts our life force. Are you a force of conditional or unconditional self-love? What do you want for yourself here? Are you a force of foundational love for yourself and for others? Will you love even when you and other people make mistakes or get it wrong? And from this foundational, healthy approval and love that you give yourself, will you affirm and approve of yourself as an act of unconditional foundational love? And if you don't like how you're behaving from a place of love, will you help yourself change your behavior so that you can love yourself and be proud of who you are and how you're being, what you're letting go of, and what you're picking up? All right, I think this is the last idea I have for you here about what the healthy father archetype offers us. Separation and blessing. Now, what do I mean by this? At some point, a healthy father says, go live your life. He doesn't tether you to his unmet needs. He doesn't guilt you into staying small. He blesses your becoming. He releases you into your life, knowing that his job is done. His job was to raise you until you were able to go out there and create your own life. A father doesn't release you into the world abandoning you, but with trust of every lesson that he has guided you through and taught, a trust that you have the tools to handle everything that needs handling in this life. He knows that love does not mean control. He knows that love does not thwart you into being less or having a smaller life than you were born deserving. Love that is this kind of selfish is not love at all. It's dysfunction masked as love. A healthier father knows that you only belong to him for a short while. A good father knows that you are to launch like a bird spreading wings to fly from its original nest. A healthy father knows that it was and is his job to make sure you can fly. Were you controlled or enabled to not fly? Were you controlled or enabled to play small? To hide from what's scary in the world instead of face it? Were you controlled or enabled to limit yourself? Were you controlled or enabled to worship fear of flying instead of get excited about the freedom of flying on your own? Is there something in your life that you could separate from for your betterment with a blessing right now? A father doesn't act like a martyr, like you're hurting him when you launch your life. Remember that presence in a healthy father? A healthy father cheers for you that you are spreading your wings and living your life. What in your life is asking you for a healthy separation and a healthy spreading of your wings so you can fly? Will you give that kind of blessing to yourself, even if the father you had or didn't have didn't ever give it to you? If you did not receive these things, if you did not get a lot of healthy fathering, a lot of healthy masculine energy as a foundational guidance system in your life, the task at hand is to grieve, to acknowledge and to grieve. And then to know this: the father that you wanted, it lives inside of you. You really can reparent yourself. And you don't have to do it all alone, but you do have to do it. You can help yourself find mentors and guides, representations of healthy masculinity for you to soak up, watch, and enjoy and learn from. You might find even fictional characters that awaken and nurture this archetype that is in the soul of who you are. With time, you can become the father figure to yourself and to others that the world so deeply needs. Don't let perfectionism bite you in the booty here. No, I can't do it perfectly. I can't be my own father perfectly. That's not the goal. But the goal is to recognize these things, to acknowledge the truth of these very things that I named today, and with courage and strength, move forward by becoming what you need for you, and by squeezing the juice out of this life and getting what you need out of it. I'm not just saying this as some kind of throwaway psychobabble statement. When we embrace reparenting ourselves, this is how we become the change we wish to see in the world. It clarifies what we missed out on and need to learn now. It clarifies the wrong things we were taught and what we need to let go of because it never did serve us in the first place. This is how we heal the world. There's so much outward activism touted these days, right? Colleges are pushing that. The internet, social media is pushing that. I think it's all a grand distraction from the real deep work that needs to be done on the personal level. We heal the world one person at a time, starting with ourselves. We have to heal our own deep wounds, and then and only then can we meet ourselves in the world from our healing instead of from our wounding. Maybe this episode helps you better see the emotional strength and boundaries that we need in this life, like boundaries with fear, boundaries with self-pity, boundaries with approval seeking and people pleasing. We need these types of boundaries to lead a good life, to feel the goodness of a good life. And if we grew up in a dysfunctional family, on top of this dysfunctional world, I will make the argument every day of my life that we deserve it to the moon and back to show up for ourselves and reparent where we can and allow spiritual teachers and healers, spiritual fathers, spiritual mothers in to help us grow the parts of us that got stunted by dysfunction. If my ideas, my work, help you make sense of yourself and the world, then just know I am personally inviting you into the Boundaries Intensive. We're going to blink and it's going to be here, y'all. October 13th, 2025. That is the date this year. You get to boundary yourself to keep the crap of the world out, to keep what's dysfunctional in your past out, and to keep what is good and what you are cultivating positively in. You deserve peace. You deserve to feel whole, and you deserve to repair anything inside of you that yearns for repairing. I promise you it's possible, even if you can't see how or exactly what to do right in this moment. Keep listening, keep following along. If you can and you're willing, come join that Boundaries Intensive. It really will change you from the inside out so that you can start to enact the boundaries that you need to protect your mind, your heart, your body, your sanity, your one precious life. Until next time, take care of yourselves out there. I'd love to hear from you in Patreon. What are some things you've gotten from healthy father figures in your life? What do you recognize has been missing from father figures in your life? Till next time, take care of yourselves out there. The yin and the yang of the masculine and the feminine. Don't be scared of it. Don't deny it. Lean in and grow with those human forces. Light and love, and I'll see you right here next time. Till then, I'm an emotional badass. You are an emotional badass. And together, we are where Moxie meets mindful. Bye-bye.